The Archbishop came out today to walk with me around the jail, to talk with detainees, to see some of the jail, but really, frankly, to talk with the detainees and to see some of the different things that are going on here at the jail. I'm not going to speak for the Archbishop, but I can't tell you how grateful I am. He took the time. I wish you could have seen the faces of the detainees. This truly was, for many of them, the greatest thing that's ever happened to them, and they were incredibly moved, and it was an amazing thing to see. So I'd love to have the Archbishop just come up and talk to you folks now. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thanks for all of you for coming out here. It's an opportunity to put the spotlight, first of all, on the dedicated men and women who are part of the prison system here, who, from my experience in talking to them, really try to create an environment that is very humane, given the fact that there is a population sometimes who have been involved in violent crime, and also various crimes against society, and yet there's a respectfulness on their part to the prison population that was so very evident to me today, and so I'm grateful for the opportunity to be supportive of them. At the same time, to realize that there are people who are here who have made mistakes and are looking for a way to move forward. That was surely evident in the discussions that I had with some of those who are incarcerated here. And there really is a full spectrum of the reasons why people are here, from DUIs all the way to violent crimes. And it's clear to me that there's a story, a human story, behind each individual that's here. And I saw among the population that I talked to, who especially were dealing with addictions, a real hopefulness that they can emerge from the slavery of addiction and get on with their lives. So it's a very sobering moment, and I would just say too that in many ways there are people who are here who are trapped in a system where they're not able to have their cases heard in a timely way, and as a result it's not only damages their lives by not having an opportunity to move forward quickly, but also I can imagine that it's a very costly kind of enterprise. I want to take this opportunity too to thank both Father and Deacon Perez. Both of them have the last name. They work with the Colby House, which is a facility that helps those who are imprisoned as they emerge from prison, but also are supportive of families during the time of incarceration. They do quite a lot of good, and it's an opportunity for me to put the spotlight on all of the various ministries that we have in the Archdiocese that reach out to those who are incarcerated. This is my second time to the jail. I was here, as you know, at Christmas, on Christmas Day for Mass. So I think we have a few moments for questions for the two of us, and I know you're going to ask the hard ones of the Sheriff.
Bishop, can I ask you a question, kind of in keeping with the law enforcement theme here? Have you given any thought to making the churches in the Archdiocese non-gun zones, non-firearm zones, or?
Yeah, in fact, I think they already are. There are policies in the Archdiocese with regard to various things that can be brought into church and so on. I would hope that I need to learn more about that, but I know in many dioceses there are policies that firearms are not permitted in churches, and I think that that's only reasonable given what we're doing in our churches.
I know there's a big deal in Atlanta where the Archbishop, I think, there had actually declared the whole Archdiocese a non-gun zone or something like that.
Yes, and I think that it's a matter of trying to make sure that we look around the corner. It's what's happening is, we all grew up years ago. That wasn't even an issue, and now it is an issue, and we really have to be serious and intentional about making a decision. But I need to ask questions of people long-standing in the Archdiocese about what the policies are, but I surely would be supportive of not having any firearms in our churches. It's not an appropriate venue.
Archbishop, is there anything that really struck you more than anything else during your visit today?
Well, as I told the people that I talked to, I used a line that the Holy Father used when he visited a prison, in which he said, you know, we all make mistakes in life, and I'm the same as you, and the only difference is I got caught. But I think what he was saying is that we have to make sure that we don't, as people get in the criminal justice system, demonize people or in any way feel that they're less than human. That can happen at times, and maybe we can have the prison population outside of our radar screen. So my hope would be to let them know that they are not marginalized. They're important to me. It's interesting, towards the end, a lot of them came up and asked me to sign their Bibles or to write a message to a mother or a fiance or someone to say that I'd pray for them or offer a blessing. And I would say there was a good number of people who did that. So they appreciated a touch of humanity that all of us do. And I'd have to say that what I saw from the people who work in that particular area, they work hard at making sure that the inmates are treated with respect.
Is that common that you sign Bibles? Do people ask you that often?
It does happen. You know, if I have time to do it, then I will do it. You know, it's a bestseller, so why not?
There is a significant amount of inmates that are suffering for any illness. What's your impression of these inmates that are sick or?
Well, of course, I'm not professionally equipped to be able to judge people's emotional or mental state, but just reading the stories recently and talking to the sheriff, it is eye-opening, I think, for all of us to hear the statistics of how many are suffering from emotional illnesses. And I know myself, having worked with Catholic Charities in my other diocese, how many people are on the street because of mental illness, and we have a real breakdown in that system. And so when I read even today more information about the number of people who are incarcerated here in prison, and they have mental illnesses, and they get into crimes or difficulties as a result of that, it seems to me that maybe there's another way to do it. Well, I think first of all, we can be multi-pronged, and we already are. We can have wonderful institutions like the Colby House. We have a very aggressive chaplaincy program in the prisons within Lake and Cook County. It's something that I'm very proud of. I think also we can be advocates for various change of legislation with regard to. I know there was a bill recently passed in Springfield that would take a serious look at how long for a misdemeanor a person would be incarcerated here without trial, and then after a 30-day period there would be a release. We could also make sure that we look for ways too, and I'd be interested in working with in an ecumenical way of helping people who are coming out of prison and who have no hope, and to looking for ways in which we can, either through educational systems or mainstreaming them with employment, to give them some hope and opportunity. I was pleased to hear, for instance, of a project where inmates here are being taught culinary skills, how to cook. And I think that kind of training and education is key. A lot of the people that I talked to today impressed upon me that life is not even playing field. There are people who have not had the educational and family opportunities I have had, and I'm impressed by the fact that but for the grace of God go I, as I look at these people. So we need as a society to provide resources to give them hope and options.
Sheriff, was there anything in particular that you wanted to share with the Archbishop?
No, this was really just open-ended because the Archbishop and I had communicated before. He'd been here before for the Christmas Mass, but I had read a little bit of the Archbishop, and I knew that there was a lot of social justice issues that were particularly high on his list, and they have been on ours as well. So it really was more open-ended, and the Archbishop really nailed it when he was talking about it. I mean, the people that we're talking about here, for starters, on a pragmatic level, are going back to their communities, not going down the prison system. And the notion that we are not being more thoughtful in how we prepare them for that and try the best we can to give them skills to break these cycles, we need to do that. And so it is interesting because the Archbishop and I were talking about that, about how easy it is to demonize people and how easy it is to sort of marginalize them and put them off your radar screen. Both pragmatically, you can't because they're coming back to our community, but on a moral, ethical level too. Many of them in the stories you hear and the illnesses that they have are ones that need support, and with support can be vital members of our community. Many of them were talking to me about their children like they frequently do and how they need to get back to them, they want to get back to them. So there's ways we can do this, but the notion that we can be just some typical traditional jail where your sentence is over and we just throw you back out into the streets, truly, at this day and age, I would hope we have learned more by now that is failed policy, and we need to be thoughtful in our approach. So it was great seeing that, and I just can't emphasize enough to you, the outpouring from the detainees for having the Archbishop here was amazing. I mean, it was very, very difficult to get over here because they wanted to talk more and more, and the Archbishop talked with all of them, was signing books left and right, and it meant so much to them. They kept going on and on about how they felt the spirit in the room changed, and it was very, very moving.
I just go ahead.
Resources and how costly it is to access to our population. And what's going on with the state budget? Is that at all impacting?
It hasn't impacted us yet. It could become a problem if, in fact, they have certain issues pop up. My understanding would be that it would clearly be seen as essential services, so their ability to make the cuts there will be minimum. How that will play out, I'm not sure, but any blip on the prison system being able to take detainees who are supposed to go down there to serve a sentence would cause the problem. The bigger issue, though, is the exploding mental health population. If there's more cuts, I mean, the cuts have been devastating already, this place will continue to fill up. While we see crimes, violent crimes by and large, decreasing, the number of mentally ill coming in this place it's been exploding. This will exacerbate that problem horribly, A, and B, for the many people who a court has adjudicated that they're supposed to go to a mental health setting, there's no beds right now. And so you start making more cuts or delaying payment there, we're housing people who have finally been told you're supposed to be in a mental health setting, and they aren't going to be able to go there. So I think the prison side of it will work out. The mental health component could be disastrous for us.
Just one last comment, and a number of the people that I talk to who are imprisoned here, I asked them, do they have visitors often? And some of them said no. They have family and friends in the area. So I would just like to make an appeal. If you have a friend or a family member who's here, come and visit them. It does make a difference in their lives. It can be very healing for them. And I think it's important to look for opportunities to be supportive of them in a time in which they feel very isolated. So I would just put a plea in for that. Thank you all for coming here today.
Thank you.